Good evening, our beloved viewers. It's 9 p.m. You are watching on live RTD channel. Welcome to this English news edition. Here are the top stories. The head of state received his counterpart from Burkina Faso. And on the international scene, coronavirus, more than 100 million cases worldwide. Those were the headlines. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received today early morning Burkina Faso President Mr. Marc Christian Kabore at the Palace of the Republic. The President of Burkina Faso is leading a 48 hours official visit to Djibouti and a high-level delegation. This is the first official visit of the President of Burkina Faso to Djibouti. In this meeting, the two presidents discussed strengthening and upgrading friendly relations and developing them toward broader and horizon. The discussion to consolidate the beginning of a relationship between the two countries and also to continue work to strengthen that, and also to the bilateral cooperation between the two countries and issues of common interest, but also to finding ways and means to enhance this cooperation in areas of common interest in order to promote common values and promote economic and social development. His Excellency the President of the Republic welcomed the visit of in Djibouti to the President of Burkina Faso and the accompanying delegation. It is the work meeting. It is work not that the President of the Republic of Burkina Faso arrived in the country yesterday and his wife on an official visit at the head of a high-level delegation. After this meeting, the two presidents held an expanding meeting on the commendable relation between the two countries. The two leaders discussed aspects of cooperation and issues of common interest, especially discussing the key development goals of the two countries in depth. It is for identifying centers of common interest to initiate a win-win economic partnership during this expanded work meeting, and then the signing of a series of bilateral agreements, especially in the field of economic and trade exchange. This meeting witnessed the partnership and the participation of Burkina Faso head of diplomacy, especially advisor to the President of Burkina Faso, and numbers of members of parliamentarian for this delegation. On the Djiboutian side, Foreign Minister Mohamed Ali Yusuf, Director of Bilateral Relations Yassine Douali, the Secretary General of the President of the Republic Mohamed Abdallah, and diplomatic advisor to the President of the state Ms. Fathia Jama, and a number of executive officials. For his part, the President of Burkina Faso thanked and congratulated the President of the Republic for the warm welcome and hospitality. He also noted the importance of facing the challenges facing to Africa and continent. Let's listen to him.
La visite que nous entreprenons aujourd'hui montre bien l'attachement que nous avons à renforcer la coopération Sud-Sud.
What we are undertaking today clearly shows our commitment to strengthening South-South cooperation, to making a choice, to pooling our efforts and experiences. This is what this multi-regional is all about. Certainly that Africa will be able to consolidate the basis of its unity that we have been seeking for a long time and that we therefore continue to push. I would simply like to say that Burkina Faso, even if it's very far from the unsuccessful, President Ismail Omar Guelleh and myself during our various meetings at the African Union, we have had several opportunities to exchange views on our two countries and to be able to raise the need for a visit. After the visit we have just made, and also with the cooperation agreements that we are going to sign very soon within the framework of the strengthening of its relations, any gestures can say that we are facing, as you know, to take all the countries in our country. Burkina Faso not only has a security crisis in the fight against illiteracy, which is still an important community that concerns the G5 Sahel countries, Mali, Burkina, Niger, Chad, and Mauritania, but not all the same community. And I would like to mention this fight that penalizes the economic development of our countries, which is experiencing many difficulties. But I must assure you that we are doing our utmost to stabilize and bring peace to our different countries. I am also delighted with the agreements signed today, which open the way for regular meetings with the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and the other ministers to look at all the areas of cooperation that we can explore. What we know today is to facilitate the opening of these relationships. The framework agreement on the one hand and issues relating to visa exemption, cultural and artistic contributions. I believe that all of this helps to improve knowledge between our two countries. Two peoples. I would like to tell the President the experience that this man will be able to share with Djibouti and vice versa. Also, we will benefit from the areas in which you can make contribution to us. In any case, I believe that we can help is that at the international African level, we share the same point of view. At the political level, I would like to thank you for your support for Burkina Faso's candidacy at the level of the African Union and reassure that Burkina Faso will do the same, which concerns you. After the vice presidency, you can also count on me to give you this support.
In his speech, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, addressed the importance of consolidating relationship between the two countries and enhance cooperation in various files. Let's listen to the head of state.
Naturellement liés par l'histoire et une culture commune, nos deux pays partagent également les valeurs de tolérance, de démocratie et de bonne gouvernance.
Linked by history and common cultural, our two countries also share the values of tolerance, democracy, and good governance. Your visit to Djibouti and our discussion today is a decisive step in strengthening our cooperation relations, which, in my view, are not living up to their potential by bringing a strong capacity for development in many areas. This is why today we have signed these agreements, including a framework cooperation agreement between Djibouti and Burkina Faso, an agreement on diplomatic and service visa exceptions, an agreement on cultural and artistic cooperation. With regard to these latter agreements, allow me to express to you the pride that we feel as Africans to have the artistic dynamism of the port, which is the showcase of African cinema. FESPASO celebrated its 50th anniversary a little over a year ago. This festival, with an African and universal vocation, fully plays its role as a promoter and a real talent for this purpose. Take advantage of your experience in the field of cinematography and audiovisuals. I am convinced that this agreement today will enable us to lay the foundations for productive cooperation. Africa, despite the challenges of underdevelopment and the multiple threats it faces, particularly COVID-19, where tourism is on an emerging trajectory. However, the fragmentation of our economies hampers the impetus of some, aggravates the situation of others, and calls into question the efforts of all. This is why solidarity, constitution, and integrated solutions must take precedence. It is imperative to define the ways and means that will enable us to make the principles of cooperation, integration, and mutual aid effective, particularly in the pooling of our resources, skills, and experience. We must also establish a dynamic and profitable framework for business and investment. To this end, I recommend the establishment of a framework for reflection of the priority areas of bilateral cooperation with a view to implementing concert projects whose direct benefits will be to the benefit of the peoples of both countries by being both actors and beneficiaries. We welcome the inauguration of the International Business Bank, a branch of IB Bank Burkina Faso in Djibouti, an inauguration ceremony that will be enhanced by your presence. I am pleased to state that the establishment of this business bank in Djibouti is the first step of an exemplary economic cooperation and reflects not only the will of our two countries to establish lasting and fruitful socio-economic relations, it also reflects the desired opening of Djibouti's foreign policy towards West Africa. Mr. President, I have received your letter on the candidacy of Burkina Faso for the post of Commissioner in charge of Political Affairs, Peace and Security of the African Union. I can assure you that your country can count on Djibouti's support. Allow me to inform you that Djibouti was also a candidate for the post of Vice Chairperson of the African Union. We look forward to your support in this regard. Excellency, in conclusion, I would like to reiterate our firm determination to further strengthen our relations of friendship and cooperation.
Indeed, upon the end of the expanded work meeting, then the signing of a series of bilateral agreements, particularly in the file of economic and trade exchanges for both countries. These agreements include, firstly, a framework cooperation agreement between the Republic of Djibouti and Burkina Faso. The second is an agreement that covers visa expansion for diplomatic and service passport, and the third is cultural and artistic agreement. In a press conference, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margile, indicated that the two countries enjoy cooperation with distinguished representative of democracy. Let's listen to the head of the state.
Jour mémorable pour notre pays, pour notre peuple.
A memorable day for our country, for our people, a day that allows us to receive our brother, President Kabore, for an official visit to Djibouti, a first, but we are sure it won't be the last. Mr. President, welcome. We are gathered here today to dedicate your first visit to Djibouti. We look forward to your arrival, to your stay in Djibouti, a land of meetings and exchanges. Since our independence, discussions during the summits of the African Union has been taking place almost everywhere. First of all, I should begin by congratulating you on your brilliant re-election. Burkina is in good hands with the difficulties you are encountering, which we are also encountering in the fight against jihadists and terrorism. But we are certain that these jihadists and terrorists will be defeated. We are pleased, as you said earlier, to be able to mark your visit, not the opening or inauguration of the AAB Bank of an investor that really had a real businessman in it. We are here to support him, to show him as an example of South-South cooperation. Another friend, also the MP, also organized an exhibition of textiles and fashion shows, also African. It is a memorable day once again. Welcome.
For his part, the President of Burkina Faso extended his thanks and gratitude to the President of the Republic once again for a warm reception and hospitality. Let's listen to him.
Ce n'est pas la première fois, parce que l'Afrique est variée et nous devons faire en sorte de mieux nous connaître.
This is not the first time because Africa is varied and we must make sure that we get to know each other better and that we also get to know our peoples and get to know the cultures, habits, traditions, and situations that each of us face. And this visit for us is visiting farms because it's the first time we have been here in Djibouti. I would like to congratulate the agreements we have signed that open up the prospect of cooperation that we must continue to strengthen for both our countries. These agreements are already important because this agreement also provides a framework for agreements that are going to be related to visa exemption for us. First of all, I will say diplomatic service passports waiting for us to regraduate later on according to the development of activities. If it can be extended to all passports and all cultural cooperation issues, etc., then we will be able to extend it to all passports. As the President said in his speech, we have a good experience in handicrafts as well, which can be beneficial in terms of experience in weaving fabrics. I think that on both sides we can share these experiences, but this is only the beginning of the cooperation that we must interest our two countries.
After the press conference, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margile, answered the questions that were directed to him and said that there are many ties that bind us to this country, like the African Union, and we are a member of this umbrella. For more details in this report.
Le constater, cette première visite que nous effectuons déjà à Djibouti.
This visit that we are already making to Djibouti and is going to coincide, as the President has just pointed out, with the integration that is being opened here, which is called the IB Bank by a Burkinabe businessman. It is already a base for private sector cooperation beyond the states, which has frameworks. I would say general ones, our various economic actors. What is most important is the development of the private sector between our two countries. As you know, Djibouti is also a platform for the transit of goods and so on. On the other consuls, the other countries of Africa, and as we have framework cooperation agreements, allow us to look a little at the overall condition of development. I will say that we can set up between our two countries, but right now I would like to stress that I was coming here. I was told that Djibouti has 4 Burkinabe who work here. I found that there were a lot of people, But in the end, with the creation of the bank yesterday, we found ourselves with the presence of a lot of people, which means that there is still a base of installation that will be made, an economic work that will develop, and we'll see in which sectors beyond the cultural issues of the schools and the economic group. What can we do together in terms of activities?
For his part, the president of Burkina Faso answered the question asked to him after the press conference and said as follows.
Membre de la ZLECAF.
We are members of ZICAF. This cooperation between African countries is a free trade between all countries. We are a banking city where we have more than 12 banks already established in Djibouti. We have the means, and I was telling our brother President Kabore that we have free trade initiatives between our two countries and the entire African community. Through BCEAO, through our new Burkinabe Bank, have been able to exchange services. We have a stable currency. We can do many things, as the President said, together Djiboutians and Burkinabes. This is the link that binds us together from now on with the countries of West Africa.
Today, Wednesday morning, the House of Representatives held an extraordinary session to receive the President of Burkina Faso and his accompanying delegation, which arrived in the country yesterday, Tuesday, at the head of a high-level delegation on an official visit. The work of this extraordinary session were shared by the Speaker of the Parliament, the Speaker of the House of Representative Mr. Mohamed Ali Ahmed, the representative of the House of National Assembly, Djiboutian member of diplomatic corps in our country were welcomed. The President of Burkina Faso as a warm welcome to his visit to the National Assembly. The Speaker of the Parliament, Mohamed Ali Ahmed, in the presence of a member of Djiboutian Parliament, ambassador of brotherly and friendly countries, as well as a representative of United Nations Agency in Djibouti, a non-governmental organization. It is also planned that the President of Burkina Faso and member of his accompanying delegation will visit the port facilities. Of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Ahmed, delivered a speech at the beginning of this session, which began by welcoming the President of Burkina Faso and his accompanying delegation on behalf of the member of parliamentarians. Let's listen to the President of the National Assembly.
Amitié fraternelle et vos contacts réguliers avec le président Ismaël Omar Guelleh.
Your fraternal friendship and your regular contacts with President Ismail Omar Guelleh are the best way to strengthen this dynamic peace building and development in Djibouti and Burkina Faso. This also involves strengthening the links between our parliamentary organizations and our regional institutions such as IGAD, SADC, and G5 Sahel, which you can read about in Partage. Mr. President of Burkina Faso, the Republic of Djibouti and Burkina Faso in many great shared values such as the culture of hospitality, benevolence, and integrity. These are countries that have been built and populated by settled nomads who have lost nothing, cardinal values that make up their identity. The Republic of Djibouti is an example of cultural and linguistic diversity, a mosaic of diverse cultures and traditions. My country, Djibouti, is an open space, rich in its cultural diversity, its values of solidarity, and, of course, its geostrategic position at the crossroads of the Asian and African continents. Its port infrastructures make it a logistics hub without equal in this part of the world. I am sure that the union of intelligence and skills between the commitment men and women of our two countries will be able to find the right springs to make our friendship a model of development at all levels.
For his part, the president of Burkina Faso delivered a further speech of a parliament meeting and at the outset of importance of this visit and said, we are living in a historic moment since your first visit, and it is an opportunity to strengthen the bond of friendship and brotherhood between the Republic of Djibouti and Burkina Faso. Let's listen to him.
La visite d'amitié et de travail que j'effectue à Djibouti
The friendly and working visit that I am making with Djibouti at the kind invitation of my brother and friend, President Ismail Omar Guelleh, gives me the pleasant opportunity before this August Assembly to pay a fervent tribute to the people of Djibouti. I would like to convey to you the expression of the solidarity and fraternity of the people of Burkina Faso with the brotherly people of Djibouti, who are heroically fighting to ensure that their profound aspirations are met in global context marked by crisis multidimensional in the present's mind. Allow me to express my gratitude for the happy opportunity you have just given me to address the people of Djibouti through the national representation. At the same time, I would like to congratulate you on the exceptional qualities with which you have elected the National Assembly, this emblematic institution of representative democracy, whose vocation is to will and power on behalf of the people of Djibouti, through the exercise of the legislative and the control of government action.
The First Lady of the President of Burkina Faso visit the headquarters of the National Union of Djiboutian Women and stood closely at the various facilities of that institution that is concerned with defending the right of Djiboutian women, enhancing their presence in a various files and enabling them to engage in the process of economic and social development. The First Lady of Burkina Faso was received warmly upon her arrival to the National Union of Djiboutian Women by Ms. Hassana Ahmed Bilil, Vice President of the National Union of Women, Ms. Fatuma Musa, General Secretary of these headquarters. The wife of Burkina Faso was receive detailed institution and explanation on the activities of the National Union of Djibouti Women. Also on this occasion, a presentation of the various headquarters and handicraft made by the girls in learning the different handicraft industry was also present. In her speech, the Vice President of UNFD, Ms. Hassana Ahmed Bilil, welcomed the First Lady of the President of Burkina Faso and said as follows.
Leadership de notre présidente, la première dame de la République, Son Excellence Khadra Mahmoud Haïd.
Under the leadership of our President, the First Lady of the Republic, Her Excellency Kadra Mahmoud Haid, the opportunity to welcome you here at the headquarters of the National Union of Djibouti Women is a particular source of pride for me. Since the attainment of our independence, to work in these development and aid missions aimed essentially at civil society and more particularly at women and girls. Among our missions, we can mention a few: the reduction of illiteracy among adults and young people who have dropped out of school by providing them in a functional framework with knowledge that favors their integration into active life. The strengthening of women's capacity for the economic and social development of our country, the development of the population's basic knowledge of health, hygiene, and nutrition and general culture, and the increase in the population's capacity to fight poverty. It is under the leadership of our President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, that the emergence of Djiboutian women has been achieved. Dear Madam and Sister, yes, you are at home, because if geography is far from our two countries, the historical, racial, and cultural links that has count more than kilometers that separate us. There was a time I still remember on the benches of the primary school when the teacher told us about the bright star of a West African country is very small. At that time, only through the texts of our school books, we later discovered this great nation of yours through history, culture, but also through sport and politics. French-speaking country with which we share the French language, country of so many writers, filmmakers, country of the FESPECO, the famous TV film festival, and last but not least, country of Thomas Sankara, who will always be remembered.
For her part, the First Lady of Burkina Faso thanks for the warm reception and said, I received by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, and the First Lady of Djibouti, Kadra Mahmoud Haid, for a warm welcome. For more details in this report.
J'ai ressenti vraiment l'effort que le gouvernement met à travers l'émancipation de la femme djiboutienne.
I really felt the effort that the government has made through the emancipation of the Djiboutian women, and for this I will really like to congratulate His Excellency President Guelleh and his wife Mrs. Kadra Mahmoud Haid for their leadership in making the Djiboutian woman a real fighter, a woman who will participate in the nation's development efforts. Through this visit, I live enriched by the experience of Djiboutian women, by the experience of your National Union of Djibouti women, and I think that this visit comes at the right time, because having the knowledge you have of Burkina Faso, the number of visits you have both already in Burkina Faso, I think it was time for me to come and meet you as well. And I think that this visit will certainly not be the last, because we have a lot in common, and I think we have a lot to share. A lot of similarities indeed between Burkinabe women and the fate of the Djiboutian women. We have the same concerns, that of making Burkinabe women equal to men alongside men. We are all convinced today that you can pedal a bicycle with only one foot. So there is the woman and then the man, and we move forward together. This is what the head of state of Burkina Faso has made his credo through his national program for economic and social development. At the heart of the program are women as mothers of the nation, and everything is being done so that women can be fulfilled, can go to school, have the qualifications, so that women can have lives, and comfortable life, and that a woman is healthy enough to support, to be truly an actor of development. We have health problems today in Burkina Faso. Health services are free for women and for children under 5 years old.
The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, offered a lunch this Wednesday in honor of the President of Burkina Faso, Mr. Marc Christian Kabore, and his wife on a 48 hours official visit to Djibouti. The President of Burkina Faso, it is at the head of a large delegation. This event was held at the Presidential Palace and saw the participation of the First Lady of Burkina Faso, the First Lady of Djibouti, Ms. Khadra Mahmoud Haid. At this lunch were also invited the participation of Djiboutian Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamel Mohammed, the President of the Parliamentarians Ali of parliamentarians and member of the government, Djiboutian parliamentarians, and on the And on the side of the larger delegation, including in particular the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and a special advisor of the President of Burkina Faso, and a member of parliamentarians on this country attended to the lunch. After the lunch ceremony, visit on port infrastructure, a busy day for the president of Burkina Faso on official visit to Djibouti, who this afternoon visit the various port infrastructure and the international free zone on PIC 23 after head to the head interview with the president Guelleh, followed by the press briefing at the presidency and an intervention in front of the representative, in front of the elected representative of Djibouti people. The president of Burkina Faso, Mr. Marc Christian Kabore, visit this afternoon the various port infrastructure of our country, including the port of Dorale, the port of DMP, and finally the international free zones. The delegation accompanied a senior official led by the president of Burkina Faso, headed for the port of Dorale, accompanied by the Minister of Affairs, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. The official delegation of Burkina Faso was welcomed by the president of Port and Free Zone authorities, Bakir Omar Hadi, and was informed about the capacity of this new created just 11 years ago. Subsequently, the delegation took over the management of DMP Port, where it received explanation of the potential and advantage of this new infrastructure. Finally, the Burkina Faso president and his delegation closed their visit to the international prison of PIC 23, where a presentation made by the official of the diversity and the capacity of multiple port infrastructure of Djibouti. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, attended the funeral ceremony after the death of Mr. Mohammed Hassan Abdullah, Secretary General for the Presidency of the Republic, who passed away this morning, Wednesday, in Djibouti, in the capital, after a long struggle with a disease. The funeral ceremony was also attended by the Prime Minister, a member of the government, the Speaker of the Parliament, and civil and military authorities in his last resting place in a cemetery in Qaddus. The late Mohammed Hassan Abdullah was one of the prominent political figure who devoted his life to the service of the homeland and the nation. The disease was a prominent and well-known figure in the Djiboutian community. The member of the government and parliamentarians send their sincere condolence to the family and deceased Mohammed Hassan Abdullah. And to the people of Djibouti, asking God Almighty that the disease will be blessed with the mercy of His eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
آمين يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم نور إلى قبور قبورهم. آمين. اللهم نور قبورهم. آمين. خصوصا قبور أهل هذه المقبرة. آمين. اللهم نور قبورهم. آمين. آمين. قبور المسلمين. اللهم نور أهل القبور قبورهم. آمين. اجعل قبورنا قبور المسلمين رياض من رياض الجنة. رياض من رياض الجنة. آمين. رياض من رياض الجنة. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. آمين. الأحياء منهم والأموات. آمين. يا رحمن صلى الله. سامحنا عمل كسالح يجي في عمل كسالح آمين الله يسوي الله ينقى أقبله هذينا الله يسوع أقبله لذلك الله يسوع كان حريصه والدين تاني الله حريصه والدين تودي الله حريصه حقوق يحليل يحرمي خصوصا نقولها لأن بأن لا نفعل لا بس الله حريصه أنا كان يلحق ودبنا حريصه أنا الله آمين والد كان الله نحريصه إن كان الله ينقى دبنا حريصه waxaynu u baahanay ba Allah inoo barakeeyo waxaynu ka baqaynaa Allah inaga badbaadiyo sallallahu ala nabiyina muhammad subhana rabbika.
The Arab parliamentary delegation began its first visit to Obok yesterday to visit the Yemeni refugee center and the health and educational infrastructure built by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the and accompanied by the president of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Hamad, and official of the Djibouti Parliament, the president of the Arab Parliament, Mr. Abdel Mansour, and his delegation traveled by the sea to the Abakh region on Tuesday, January 26. The president of the National Assembly, Mr. Muhammad Ali Hamad, and the president of our parliament were welcomed by the prefect of the regional council and the customary chief and by the population of Obokh, the local authorities at its head, the prefect of the region, Mr. Abdul Malik Muhammad Banoita, and the president of the regional council, Mr. Muhammad Hamad, as well as the parliamentarians of the region of Obokh, including the Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil and the national parliamentarians, member of the Arab League. The official then visit the premises of Al Rahma Orphanage, guide tour of the classroom and the infirmary, allowed the delegation to see the condition firsthand. The high point of this first meeting was carried out by a visit to the Markazi camp refugees, which is home to more than 1,200 refugees from Yemen turned by the army conflict and the health and educational infrastructure built by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And this inspection visit to the refugees situation enabled the delegation to become aware of the challenges facing on the ground. The delegation met subsequently with the refugees themselves and in the presence of local authorities in order to assess the situation on the ground. In a speech, the Speaker of the Arab Parliament said that it is difficult to live in this situation and the bloody war in their country. He added that the Arab Parliament is doing what is necessary to resolve the crisis and will spare no effort to serve his Muslim brothers by guaranteeing them security and improving their condition, and also prayed to the Almighty that the war will end and his people can find peace in their own country. Taking the floor in turn, the president of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Hamad, first thanked the population of Obor, the authorities of the region for the quality and warm welcome. The president declared also and said, I came to accompany the president of the parliamentarian Arab to testify and renew my solidarity, indicating that the Djiboutian government provide the necessary service to help their brother on its territory. The relationship and the band of fraternity that exists between our two countries, it is very old, and the Republic of Djibouti and its people will always be at the side and the service of its Yemeni brothers and sisters. He said, "You are at home." He concluded, the president of the National Assembly. And also a meeting present at the Arab Parliament with the Ministry of Higher Education and Researches as part of his visit to the Republic of Djibouti. The President of Arab Parliament, Mr. Abdelrahman Al-Sunni, and the member of delegation visited this morning the Ministry of Higher Education and Researches they were received by Dr. Nabil Muhammad Ahmed, the Minister of Higher Education and Researches, and he is the Secretary General. The delegation had met with the minister in the presence of the ministry's technical advisor, Mr. Fahmi Ahmed Mohammed, and the Director General of the Center for Studies and Researches, Dr. Abdullah Mohammed. During the meeting, a number of issues were discussed, including how to develop the higher education and researches. The president of the National Assembly received in his office the head of the Pakistani delegation, Senator Mirza, and who is also a very influential businessman on the international scene. The president of National Assembly stressed during this interview that the excellent interparliamentary relation which bind the two countries, the Republic of Djibouti and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, reflect a positive image of what the two countries want to achieve in several areas. In this context, the Honorable consider that the visit exchanges between the parliamentarians of the two countries represent a deep proof of the qualitative development which the relation between the two countries have known during the last period. The President of Parliament devoted part of his speech to the importance of economic cooperation and listed the objective that we must achieve in these areas while ensuring that the economic climate in the Republic of Djibouti remains very encouraging, particularly through attractive and available to investors. In this regard, he expressed his wishes to the Pakistani delegation figure investment in the Republic of Djibouti so as to benefit from the skills, the transfer of knowledge and new technology to arrive at the economic alternative that create wealth. Moving on to the international scene, news about the coronavirus. More than 100 million cases worldwide. The total number of COVID-19 cases exceeded 100 million worldwide on Tuesday, according to the Center for System Science and Engineering at Johns Hopkins University. At the 7 p.m. on Tuesday, the total number of cases recorded across the worldwide reaches 100,000, include the death of 2,000 death according to the CSSE data, the United States has reported the highest number of confirmed cases of death in the world, with 27,000 cases of the deaths in India has registered 10,000 cases, ranking second in the worldwide of the cases of coronavirus. This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful evening.